throughout the nation and around the globe. From his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, Dear James, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insight, and we go as guided. And we have so much to cover in this episode, so we are just going to jump right in. And remember that we incorporate your comments and questions live throughout the broadcast, so just drop them in and we will incorporate them. So let's get to it. So our main energies, welcome Alicia. Our main energies, it's the final day of the 10-month, in the show. So it's treading, cautious advance. The beauty of the 10 and the 30. The 30 is about clarity and to perceive. And so we've been working with this theme about clarity. It's an 8-year, all year long, uniting, unite. This 12, stand still, release. It's about releasing what no longer serves. And as we do this, and again, look at the beauty of the 10, the 30, the 8, the 12, that culminates in a 3. Very auspicious, powerful numbers. And it says, yes, that at the beginning, it may be difficult, but persevere. So as we move from these main energies, we want to move into the astrological influences. And with a focal point, welcome Deborah, with a focal point on the upcoming, really the main event is the upcoming, it's on this coming Sunday, Mars-Pluto opposition at 29 degrees, Cancer and Capricorn. Just before that on Friday is the new moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees. So you can see all of these things. 9 completes a cycle. The 29 in astrology is the most powerful. It's the anaretic degree. It's these huge, massive endings and shifts. And when I looked at this, so when I looked at the main astrological chart, I'm just going to bring this, I'm going to bounce between these two images because it was about the sacred square and the number 42. And here is the astrological chart for Mars, the Mars-Pluto opposition. And when you look in the center, in the inner ring, you will see 3 minor grand trines. They are, the points are to the exterior of the circle, if you will. And so you see one on the left, one kind of bottom left, and then going over bottom right. And it's like facets on a diamond. So there are these minor grand trines. In the middle is a grand water trine. It's between Mercury and the moon in Sagittarius, down to Neptune in Pisces, over to Mars in Cancer. So, and then when you look, so you have this grand triangle, it's a big triangle in the center, and then these mini triangles supporting it, and then in the center is this rectangle. So, and then of course there's the 3 the prominent opposition that's between Pluto and Mars, left to right. Top to bottom, there's one between Venus and Jupiter. And then a more subtle one between, or loose one, if you will, between Mercury and the moon, the new moon, and Uranus down below. The point of all of this is that as I was looking at this chart, intuitively what came to me was the phrase sacred square. And I know most of you are probably going, but it's a rectangle, dear James. And I'm like, yes, it is, image-wise. But what the unseen was saying was sacred square. And then I heard the number 42. And so when I looked up sacred square, it says in the context of ancient Egyptian mythology, the number 42 is significantly linked to the, quote, sacred square, representing the 42 questions a deceased person would be asked during the judgment of the soul in the afterlife, known as the, quote, negative confessions. these negative confessions were answering truthfully to all 42 questions, allowed the passage into the next life. Essentially, the sacred square symbolizes the space where this judgment took place, with each side representing a facet of the 42 questions. And so, and we were just speaking about these minor grand trines looking like facets on a diamond. And so the number 42, the sacred square, it goes on to talk about in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the deceased would be questioned by 42 judges, each representing a specific sin or negative attribute, making 42 a pivotal number in the afterlife judgment process. The symbolic meaning, the sacred square can be interpreted as a symbolic representation of the space where this judgment occurred, with each side potentially representing a set of questions or aspects of the deceased's life that were scrutinized. We're in Scorpio season. This whole death, birth, or, life, death, birth, renewal, and so forth, this inner reflection. And this strongly connects with, because what I was looking at too was, so I was looking at the astrological chart for Friday's Scorpio new moon. And then I looked at the Sabian symbols. And my first reaction was like, ooh, I don't like this. I don't like the symbols. I don't like, and of course, as the unseen says, you don't get to pick and choose. We take, quote unquote, the good with the bad, so to speak. And then I recognized as well, then I'm like, okay, well, let me move on and look at the greater aspect, this Pluto-Mars opposition, because it's the event. And all of a sudden, the chart is incredibly auspicious. The Sabian symbols, equally so. And we will cover those in next week's show, the Sabian symbols. We may get to some of them. There's so much to cover here. And so it was like this dark before the dawn, meaning that the Scorpio new moon is almost like the death before the rebirth. And how dark, heavy it can be. And it's a new moon, and yet it's still, there's a deep message about death and rebirth. Welcome, Olivia. And this particular scripture goes along with this. It's been used in the current U.S. election and so forth. It's Psalm 30, 30-5. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And it was so poignant for this, the Scorpio new moon chart to the Mars-Pluto opposition chart, and this death rebirth. And it goes along with item number 3 from the unseen. And they said, there are, underlined are, there are those that will, underlined, inherit the kingdom of heaven. And those that won't, don't. Choose. And whether this inheriting the kingdom of heaven occurs in this instant, in this moment, or 1,000 years from now, the time per se is irrelevant. The point is that our actions, our character matters, our grace, our goodness, our kindness matters. There are those that will inherit the kingdom of heaven, and those that won't, don't. Choose. And this sacred square and the number 42 and how it's tied to literally the soul's review in the afterlife, the 42 questions. And so it was very powerful. I hope you're tracking along with all of this. So we come then to our actual main themes for this week. And the first thing I heard, and this theme has been playing out with us, this peace be with you. And then we have dear medicine. We have the sacred square, the number 42. This keep going follow me. And this is a statement from the unseen, from Master Jesus, God, the all that is. This keep going, follow me, with an exclamation point. The Mars-Pluto opposition, the Aries full moon that occurred on the 17th of October, and the Scorpio new moon that occurs on the 1st of November on Friday. These are our main themes. And so, again, with this, we come to this place of greatness. And I just want to recap really quickly before we come into the main theme, where we began with this 3 shows ago. So we came into this with the first theme being the impossible dream realized, and it was with wolf medicine. And then we came forward, and it was about heightened awareness, owl medicine. And today, culminating, or in the trinity of this, is peace be with you, dear medicine. And this beautiful image, I mean, it's just magical, this beautiful image of this stag with the horns, and it's kind of with a blue background that's very it invokes both heaven, the heavens, and the era of Christmas and everything, this feeling of winter and Christmas. Peace be with you is both a greeting, as we've covered. It's both a greeting in Hebrew and so forth. It's a greeting. And yet it was also after the crucifixion and the resurrection. And the apostles were in a room, fearing for themselves, in a locked room. The door was locked. Master Jesus presented himself. The door was locked, but he appeared anyways. And the moral of the story is that the all that is, God, Master Jesus, the all that is ever present with us. There is no boundary. There is no lock. There is nothing that prevents the beauty of that essence being with us at all times. Omnipresent, all-knowing, all-seeing, everywhere, all at once. And so this theme of peace be with you and dear medicine. So I want to bring in, and also with these 2 main themes or sub-themes, challenge versus opportunity, which wolf to feed. So are we feeding the wolf of challenge, of opposition, of hate and anger and resentment and grudges and so forth, or are we feeding the wolf of opportunity? That's what these shows have been, this trilogy of shows has been talking about. And the second sub-theme is this breaking through the illusion. And I love this image because you can see 1, 2, 3, there are 4 squares within this glass ceiling. And then there are all of these triangles. And so, of course, the square and the triangle represents the pyramid. It's one of the most iconic, greatest constructions on Earth that we've still yet to fully understand. And yet, the moral of the story is breaking through the illusion, breaking through the ceiling, whatever that ceiling may be for each individual one of us, and collectively. And how the square, it's foundational, and the triangle, 3-sided trinity. And so it brings about both stability and fire, activity, the pyramid, and thereby how we have everything we need within us to reach a higher octave, to be more than we've ever allowed ourselves to be, and to recognize that any limitation is an illusion. And so this moment is about breaking through the illusions. It's also about, it's the first thing, the first and the 7th thing from the unseen. They go together. And then we're going to jump into the astrology and the dear medicine and so forth, which is phenomenal. But the first thing the unseen said was passing the baton to a new generation. And so again, this Pluto-Mars opposition, the astrology chart of this, the sacred square, the number 42, the judgment of things, It's about passing the baton to a new generation. Equally, number 7, what's my legacy? What am I both leaving behind and receiving? Exclamation point. We often think about legacies as something that we leave. It's what we leave behind. And it can be monetary, a legacy can be monetary. It can be acts of service. It can be who we are in our relationships. How do people remember us? These are all representations of what's my legacy, what a legacy can be. What was strikingly interesting about this was that the unseen said, it's both about what we leave behind, but also what we receive. And so they're bringing clarity, heightened awareness. They're bringing to our awareness that whatever that legacy is that we're quote unquote leaving behind, it's also the energy of what we're receiving. So again, if your legacy is shadow, darkness, bitterness, anger, resentment, hate, that is both the legacy you're leaving behind, but it is also the legacy you are receiving. Equally, if your legacy is of generosity and goodness and kindness and empathy and compassion, joy, it is both the legacy you are leaving and the one you are receiving. Powerful, powerful messages from the unseen. So we're going to jump to Pam Youngin's North Point Journal. And I'm going to take a few excerpts from this and then post her full post at the show comments on Facebook, on the Dear James Facebook page. So Pam says, a choice point. The time has come for us to choose. I'm not referring to the upcoming elections, but to the much more crucial question that currently lies before us. What qualities, what energy do we each want to embody and therefore contribute to the world? This directly ties to the number 7. What's my legacy? What am I both leaving behind and receiving? Like most astrologers, Pam has had her eye on this week's Mars-Pluto opposition for many months. It is one of the most significant planetary events of 2024, if not the main headline. We've been feeling the impact of this divisive aspect for many weeks through heightened power struggles and emotional reactivity. She speaks about the shadow and the light. For clues as to how the Mars-Pluto opposition might play out in real-world scenarios, we can observe the lives of those who have this aspect in their natal astrology charts. At the lowest vibrational end of the spectrum is Joseph Stalin, who was dictator of the Soviet Union from 1924 to 1953. Stalin is considered to be one of the most murderous dictators in history. His reign of terror is a clear example of the need for domination overriding any sense of humanity. And there was, from the unseen, there was a statement about guarding against low-level consciousness. So guard against it externally, but also be heightened awareness, be conscientious, owl medicine, of low-level consciousness within ourselves. Because, of course, everything emanates from the inside out. And so here she's talking about this. His reign of terror is a clear example of the need for domination overriding any sense of humanity. Pam goes on to say, in sharp contrast to that abhorrent use of the Mars-Pluto energies, the shadow aspect of the energies, we see that Mahatma Gandhi also had a Mars-Pluto opposition in his natal chart. Gandhi was an Indian lawyer who was famous for his nonviolent disobedience and hunger strikes in protest of civil rights violations under British rule. His Mars-Pluto tenacity, dedication, and determination are credited for playing a major role in India ultimately gaining its independence from Great Britain. So you see the two polar opposite examples of this Mars-Pluto opposition. We can see it literally playing out before our very eyes in this moment, in this time. These examples. Pam Youngins continues, the higher purposes, while the Mars-Pluto opposition is certainly manifesting in the stressful tug-of-war we observe in the outside world, we miss the higher purpose of these times when we focus only on the external battle. On an individual level, this aspect calls for each of us to become more self-aware, to observe when we react to situations and to others in an instinctive, unconscious way. We know when we are responding to life in a way that is not in alignment with our highest expression of self, simply by how we feel inside. We can feel it. We know when our actions, when we feel bad about them, or when we feel good about them. And so again, heightened awareness, owl medicine, it is to be aware of this. Pam goes on to say, whether we win or lose an outer battle, we are still in an internal condition of competition, not of peace. The main theme, peace be with you. Master, where Gandhi was to peace, Master Jesus is to love. And this message of peace be with you from Master Jesus is that love. And when we are in harmony with love, there's peace. So love and peace, it's present. It's available to us. If we're in competition with others or with ourselves, then we are not in a state of peace. The universe is limitless. We don't have to compete, kill or be killed. As it was said just last night, it doesn't have to be this way. But our choice, we choose. And so where are we in alignment with ourselves? Are we operating in a place of peace? Pam goes on to say, once we realize that fear is behind our reactivity, we then decide whether to act upon that fear or to choose a higher path. We can use the Mars-Pluto determination and single-mindedness to strategize how we might be expressions of peace and love in the world. See, we have a choice. There are those that will inherit the kingdom of heaven and those that won't, that don't. Choose. The kingdom of heaven is not the ring of fire. They're two separate energies, expressions, destinations. And so again, it's like, choose the higher path. Choose peace and love in the world. She concludes, we also accept that our alignment with our higher self, our soul, is where our true power lies, not in whether we win or lose the game. So our true power lies in our soul source connection, in our heart and soul, in the center of our being, not in our ego mind personality, not in the shadow and not in the illusions. And so these energies, this Mars-Pluto opposition, the event at this moment, is demonstrating the choice, and it's demonstrating the opportunity. It's also demonstrating the illusion, the shadow, because we are passing the baton to a new generation, meaning we are moving from patriarch to matriarch, Piscean to Aquarian. And so it is a passing the baton to, quote unquote, a new generation. It doesn't just mean youth, to the youth of today. To a new generation is to a new era, a new time. So let us now move to, and let me just bring in our mantra very quickly while we're here. Peace sustains all. Peace sustains all. Not war, not animosity, not hate and division. Peace. Peace sustains all. So again, we have a choice. The unseen, the astrological energies, everything is, and remember Pluto in Capricorn is that shaking us loose. The roots, it is pulling us to transplant us into a greater, larger, more expansive pot. That's where we're headed. I want to go to Astrology by Lauren. And the title of this is The Transformative Powers That Be. This is a very occult or wisdom and mystical time of year. In addition to preparing hearth and home, we are also asked to turn within to do our own inner work. Scorpio is a sign of transitions and endings, and so we honor and pay respects to the dearly departed, sending them off to the other realms. This is a time of letting go, of releasing, not only those that had passed, but to also confront our own mortality. And remember, we're confronting our own mortality. In this moment of endings, major endings, of conclusion, of shifting, from Capricorn to Aquarius, from patriarchal to matriarchal, from divine masculine to divine feminine. There is, within all of us, there is naturally going to be a figurative death. We are saying goodbye to an era that we have grown up in. And yet, what's just beyond it is the morning cometh, the joy, the morning cometh, the new generation, the new era. So it's okay for us to mourn because it's what we've known, quote unquote, it's the beast we've known. But that's not a reason to cling to it or hold on to it. What did Master Jesus say to Mary Magdalene when he reappeared after the crucifixion and the resurrection? Don't cling to me yet. I haven't yet risen or fully risen. It wasn't about clinging to the past. It was about making space and room for the new. And his message, peace be with you. I'm ever present. I'm with you constantly. And I'm speaking about this from a spiritual place, not a religious place or a Christian religion perspective. It's a universal message that is available to all of us. And this, keep going, follow me, because there's greatness ahead. So there's this natural endings and letting goes and facing our own mortality, and she says, letting go and releasing not only those that have passed, but to also confront our own mortality as a natural part of the alchemical process we call life. It's part of life. Endings and beginnings, birth and death, are as mundane as they are profound. And so we all turn within along with the turning of the veil, where the past and the future collide. And our insights into the very meaning of our lives run penetratingly deep. And look again, the United States, there's an election, and you literally see, as she just articulated, endings and beginnings, and the past and the future colliding all at once. It's literally playing out in our lives. Lauren, by Astrology by Lauren, she goes on to say, this year we dive even deeper as Pluto is in this very last degree of Capricorn, along with so many other planets also in the very last degrees of their signs. Like a farewell party to what once was, we are bidding goodbye to a prior era, to a prior generation or generations. And there will be no going back to what once was. And while some will be celebrating, others will be desperately holding on to the status quo. Because fear is driving. There's an awareness, it doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum, there's an awareness that what was is no longer, it's leaving. It's changing, there's something new before us. And so desperately holding on to the status quo is futile. It's not in your highest and best. For the next few weeks, Mars, which is apparently slowing for its retrograde station on December 6th, will be opposite Pluto, both at the anaretic 29th degree of Cancer and Capricorn. This is yet another portent of endings that are well nigh due. Mars-Pluto oppositions are indicative of extreme power, even life and death struggles with others. We can have this struggle within ourselves. So again, whether it's person, business, nation, government, institution, this life-death power struggle can be external, we're seeing that, but it can also be internal. Because of the retrograde phase of Mars, this transit will be repeated 3 times. The first will be exact on Sunday, November 3rd, and the second on January 3rd, and the last one on April 26th, 2025. This first one is the longest of these 3 transits, and the only one when Mars is in Cancer and Pluto is in Capricorn. The struggle continues, but there is no going back after this. Why? Because on November 18th, Pluto will enter Aquarius, where it will remain for the next 20 years. Pluto in Aquarius, not since the American, French, and Industrial Revolutions. So Pluto will no longer be in Capricorn, it's moving forward, and it will never be there again in our lifetimes. Lauren goes on to say, there can be a holding on to the past in the very last degree of a sign, even if it must be at the expense of future growth. The Sabian symbol for the degree that Mars is in, this last degree of Cancer, is, quote, a daughter of the American Revolution, which speaks to the idea that there are those, once benefiting from their own revolutionary past, now aim to repress and prevent the emergence of new revolutionary ideals. They squelch any new revolutionary idea because they fear losing all that they have built up and accumulated and have held on to up until now. So there's huge fear for those that have been in power and control that this is ending. They know it's ending, and they're cleaving to it. It's this image of the train. This train that's coming in and they're clinging to it. They're hanging on by a thread to it. But that train comes to an end. It stops. And there is an entire new train embarking from the station. There's a whole new train leaving. So Lauren goes on, there is a certain stability and security found in the patriarchal sign of Capricorn. Capricorn represents what we are familiar with and what we know. It is what is already established. It's the beast we know. And any changes to this can feel destabilizing, especially for those who benefit from it. But we are all subject to growth. The sort of growth that begins from the inside and to which the outer circumstances of our lives needs to adapt. And like a hermit crab that has outgrown its shell, periodically we need to search for one that is more accommodating. This is the Harry Potter mandrakes, Pluto and Capricorn, shaking the roots and the foundations loose. We're being pulled up, shaken, so that we are transplanted freshly into this new, larger, bigger, more expansive container. It's more accommodating, as Lauren is saying. Cancer, the sign of Cancer, is a matriarchal sign associated with women, with families and community. The warrior god in the sign of Cancer is the stealth Amazon, ready to take up arms when feeling motivated to do so. And Mars in Cancer will be motivated to action when backed into a corner, especially when she is being called on to protect or defend those in her care. We tend to circle the wagons when Mars is in Cancer, defending the people and things that matter most to us. It could take a lot of Mars in Cancer to rise to the occasion. However, like the strong mama bear she is, Mars in Cancer will leap into action when she perceives her loved ones or all that she loves is in danger of annihilation. She is the hero who lifts the car off the child, who stands up to the bullies and secures the perimeters. Just know that when Mars in Cancer feels called to action, as she will when pushed into a corner by Pluto this week and next, she will be a force to be reckoned with. But she is not alone. There are allies and buffers holding her aloft. Her heroism will not be forgotten, nor will it be for naught. In the days leading up to the Mars-Pluto opposition, Mercury and Scorpio will trine, it's a harmonious aspect, will trine both Mars and Neptune, while sextile, another harmonious aspect, Pluto, creating a kite formation with a grand trine in water. That grand trine in water, this is this image. Here's that the astrological chart for the Mars-Pluto opposition. The grand water trine is the large triangle in the center. The minor grand trines are the facets, like the diamond facets supporting it. And then the sacred square and the number 42 intuitively from the center. This is a configuration of great potential, of possibility, hope, courage, and aspiration, of love, kindness, and compassion, transcending oppression. And as Pluto grasps on to its last bastion of power in Capricorn over the next few weeks, you can almost hear all the planets whispering in their own sacred voices. Once you have known what freedom feels like, there is no turning back. This is about liberty and freedom and self-determination and, my gosh, the expansiveness of what lies before us, what is yet to be experienced. And there's nothing in it to fear. There's nothing to fear. I believe it's, there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So with this moment of time, keep going, follow me, meaning Master Jesus, the unseen, Allah, Buddha, God, the all that is, however, the highest power, your soul source connection. Keep going, follow me. Because this comes into a place, and it's our key word, and it's number 4 before I finish up with Lauren, Astrology by Lauren. And it's our key word. And our key word is the word redemption. This is about our individual and collective redemption. And redemption, an act of atoning for guilt, a fault, or a mistake, or the state of having atoned. An act or the state of being rescued. An act of redeeming or the state of being redeemed. The action of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil. And it's number 4 from the unseen, which is, they said, redemption. Can you hear me now? And this came through in a client's reading this past weekend, and it was so prepared. It was so powerful, because what was brought forth was this sense of, in this individual, in this client's individual life, and yet magnified to the whole of the whole. The unseen was saying, see, you were unprepared or unready to receive him, to receive all of this. Are you ready now? And it was a play on, the cell phones and everything with the signal. Can you hear me now? It's that soul source connection, that soul source call. And this patriarchal era, when Master Jesus entered the scene 2,000 plus years ago, it was about redemption. It is about redemption. It's foundational, it's the square. And with this awareness, then and now, that we were unprepared or unready to receive him. Are you ready now? And again, this isn't a religious statement. It is a spiritual statement. It applies to all 8 billion souls on the planet, regardless of religion, creed, sexuality, gender. It transcends all of them. And it simply says, this is a moment of redemption. We were unprepared or unready to receive him. Are we ready now? Can you hear me now? Astrology by Lauren concludes, what I know is that So she was concluding with there is no turning back. And then she has this quote by Gail Tamak Lemon. This is from The Daughters of Kobani, a story of rebellion, courage, and justice. And so Gail is saying, what I know is that the young women I met across northeastern Syria, from all its communities, Arab, Kurd, Christian, want the same things from their lives as thousands of girls I have met every other place in the world, including the United States. A chance to go to school and an opportunity to forge their own future. The world has a way of telling girls and young women what they should want from their lives and of telling them not to ask for too much. But this is about breaking through the illusions. This is about matriarchal Aquarian energies, the age, the purity of it, the greatness of it, the goodness of it for all of us, not just for women who are in physical bodies as women, but powerfully so for them because they have been oppressed and suppressed, held back, held down, told what they should want, not to ask for too much. Because quote unquote men, the divine masculine, patriarchal Piscean era ruled the world. But that era is finished, it's complete. And we are to take the very best of it and move forward, to learn from our choices. One would say mistakes, but mistakes are all choices. So truly it's to take from our choices and where, because we're all in this together, unite. Where within us, whether you're masculine, feminine, transgender, it doesn't matter. The point is divine masculine, divine feminine is within each of us. Where we too much or not enough of one of them or both, meaning masculine or feminine. We all got here together by making choices, by buying into illusions. And now, as above, so below, the great weaver, the master weaver, is turning the dial, is moving us forward. And so we must all collectively recognize heightened awareness, owl medicine. We must recognize what's on offer and what's our responsibility. It's not to bury our heads in the sand. It's not to turn the clock back. It's to step up, to recognize our shadow, our insecurities, our fears, and to shed them so that as we move forward into the new, as it has been 2,000 plus years and it will be forever onward, peace be with you, dear medicine. So let's look at dear medicine. And this is from Jess Hagen at urbanhealersofla.com. The deer spirit animal totem teaches us about how to return to tranquility after an unexpected upset. Deer lives with lions, always on the outskirts of her peaceful life. She has no concern for their existence, the lions' existence, until they cross an invisible boundary that makes deer lift her head and pay attention. Once boundaries have been crossed, she enters a state of pure reaction with the single goal of returning to peace. If the lion encroaches closer, the deer takes flight until distance is regained. Once the proper distance is achieved and danger is gone, deer teaches us to return to tranquility and think no more of the lion's existence. It's not about burying your head in the sand. It's about returning to a state of peace, of tranquility, of harmony. Deer does not appear to live in a state of anger or frustration or resentment once she has escaped the lion's threat. Her family does not organize a plan to rid themselves of lions once and for all. They deal with what comes as it comes and returns to peace when it is over. This is the spirit animal teaching for what humans call forgiveness. So this tranquility, peace, forgiveness is deer medicine. And remember, it's about forgiving ourselves, finding peace and tranquility within, so that it ripples out. What's my legacy? It becomes the legacy we're leaving and the one we're receiving. Instead of worrying about pending threats or living in a state of tension about the future, Deer focuses on her immediate personal threats, only taking note of the lion if and when it encroaches too close. When lion comes into range, Deer takes action. So it's not about do nothing, but it's not about living in a sustained state of fear and anger and resentment and frustration, all this shadow energy. It's about moving through it. Once the lion is out of sight, Deer forgets all about it until the next time he encroaches. In this way, she does not give the lion any more of her time or energy than the big cat deserves. Because again, if you're giving your energy away, or if you're focused, staying in the scent of, of this heightened uber reaction, you're giving away your power. We are giving away our power. But when we address something as it approaches or as it occurs, and then we release it, we're back to a state of peace and harmony and tranquility, a state of forgiveness. It may feel, Jess Hagen goes on to say, it may feel dangerous to drop your vigilance on things or people who have hurt or shocked you in the past, and who may very well show up again to cause trouble. But the truth is, letting it go conserves your energy much more than living in the nerve-wracking stress of vigilance. There is value in out of sight, out of mind when powers at play are beyond our control. There will always be lions in the woods. Let them have no more of your time than absolutely necessary. See, we don't have to buy into the illusion. We don't have to play their game. We don't have to lower our level of consciousness. We can simply choose to, should you enter my realm, I will deal with you, and then I will release you and I will move on. You may stay in this cesspool pit and do what you're going to do. That's your legacy. My legacy is over here. My legacy is lighter, freer, more abundant. Jess goes on to say, skirmishes and conflict only last for brief moments of time, minutes at most. The rest is mental anguish, a churning of past and future. Deer teaches us how to recognize when a real threat is over and how to return to your life's joy as fast as possible. Deer has utter trust that her instincts will rise with perfect timing when needed. Our soul source connection, that amazing internal GPS warning system, is like deer medicine. It's like deer. Boom, it's up. It's right there. We're aware. There's danger. There's something that's not right. We're to do something or not do something. It's incredibly accurate. Ego, mind, personality? Not so much always. So, and the point is to return to joy as fast as possible. So Deer has utter trust in her instincts and that they will rise with perfect timing when needed. Trust that you will know what to do when the time comes. Your peace and inner joy are the only way the world heals. In all circumstances, seek joy. So your peace and inner joy are the only way the world heals. That's our legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? Because it is the one that you are both leaving and the one you are receiving. Sometimes things happen and we don't really know why. Not knowing why is a tough place to be in. But the deer spirit animal totem is an invitation to be comfortable with not needing all the information to ensure constant security at all times. We don't need to be in this hyper-vigilant state. It will drain you of your life force. We just need it to show up at the appropriate time, and it will. We can know that we have what we need right now, and when we need to know something, those messages will come to us in right time, divine time. The soul will will act. It will raise everything from within us. So we'll know. So we don't need to be in this vigilant state or ensure that we have this constant security. That's an illusion. We are safe at all times. It's just, when do we need to respond? When do we need to defend or disengage or disarm? And then go back to peace, tranquility, harmony. Dear Spirit Medicine is a profound sacred communion with what it takes to recover from life-threatening violence. She is a healing medicine of ever-present gentleness, regardless of the demons who hunt her down. Her dedication to restoring a tranquil life experience is her offering when you need help releasing tension caused by sudden, unexpected trauma. She does not waver in her soft, persistent caring, and she never closes her heart. Her poise and grace hold an indestructible space for all creatures to find refuge. She is the dignity of the forest, regal in her powers of resilience. Her message to you is forgive, forget. And it doesn't always mean, there's a saying about you can forgive, but you don't forget. But again, as long as you don't cling to the energy surrounding the experience, meaning I'm never going to forget, you're in this hyper-vigilant state. That means that's the energy, the legacy, the life you're leading. And that causes dis-ease. But when we forgive and, quote, don't forget or forget, again, it's not that we're burying our head in the sand or turning the other cheek again and again and again. It simply means that we're not living in this state that is sucking our vital life force away. There's greater octaves of energy to experience. There's more about life before us to experience and achieve and live in. She concludes, Jess Hagen concludes, Dear Medicine teaches that the path to peace is found in the ability to assess each moment as new and independent of the previous situation. See, it's not stacking the deck and hanging on to something. It's meeting each individual, independent situation individually. Deer does not judge the lion, and she doesn't hate the lion for the endless assault to her species. She leaves the lion alone and simply does not acknowledge him past what is necessary. She does not scheme ways to exact revenge or clarify her strength or power. Her nature has learned that there is no way to stop the larger movements of violence of an unpredictable world. She can only focus on honing her reflexes for swift alertness. She invites you to restore yourself to a tranquil life experience by not being pulled into the stresses of conflict beyond their immediate event. Return to peace by finding something in your immediate environment. It could be a lovely color combination of a plant or a nearby object. It could be a sound or song that reminds you of beauty. The deer spirit animal totem, the deer medicine, is a call to release fear and return to tranquility, to peace. Welcome, Elizabeth. And so we have this wolf medicine, owl medicine, deer medicine, and all of this opportunity, because this moment, it's number 6 from the unseen. They said indelible impression, and this also came through for the client. This now in a more magnified meaning, it says indelible impression, that it's long-lasting, eternal, that this moment in time is going to leave an indelible impression. And it's in stark contrast. Are you clinging to the past? Are you entertaining, not only entertaining, but engaging in detrimental shadow, low-level consciousness energies? Or are you open and receptive to receiving, to keep going, to follow me, meaning Master Jesus? this passing of the baton to a new generation, a new era. And we are all here. 8 billion souls are here for this moment. And it's an indelible impression. It's an indelible moment that will stay with us long beyond our physical bodies. It's indelible to our soul. And so, what's my legacy? What am I both leaving behind and receiving? Because everything's energy. Karma is about balance. It's about, what you put out is coming back to you. So it's about all of these things. And number 5 from the unseen, which was very funny. And it kept coming, and I thought, no, maybe it's, and I mean, for a good week after the show last week, and I was like, and I kept hearing the lyrics and the song, the music to Sugar Pie, Honey Bunch. It's the song, it was originally the Four Tops back in 1965. So Sugar Pie, Honey Bunch, I Can't Help Myself, I Love You and Nobody Else. Well, as I looked it up, I saw there is a Australian singer, and it's Jessica Mauboy, pardon me, and it was about, so she covered the song, and for a movie called The Sapphires, and on the poster for the film, for the movie, it says, The Sapphires, follow your heart, discover your soul. And sapphires in the Bible, this is from BibleZero.com. The meaning of sapphire in the Bible is multifaceted. The sapphire stone has been mentioned in the Bible several times, especially in the Old Testament, where it symbolizes truth, correctness, honesty, and holy indulgence. It is also associated with divine favor and represents devotion to God. According to Easton's Bible Dictionary, sapphire is a precious sky blue stone brought from Babylon, probably the lapis lazuli. The color of God's throne is described as sapphire. Sapphire is also associated with diamonds, these facets in this chart, and emeralds. The precious stone sapphire appears in the Old Testament in the book of Exodus, Moses' second book. In the book of Exodus, God fulfills his promises by miraculously and dramatically delivering the Israelites to freedom. This indelible impression, this indelible moment, this long-lasting eternal moment, it's about redemption. It's about deliverance. It's miraculous. It's dramatic. It's about freedom. It's about liberty for all of us. But we must choose it. The Exodus recounts Moses' leadership in leading the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt. The Israelites traveled through Egypt's desert and wilderness through Mount Sinai. God gives Moses the tablets containing the 10 Commandments there. It is understood that the stone tablets of the 10 Commandments were cut from the bright blue sapphire seen on Mount Sinai. The pavement beneath God's feet is described as sapphire in the book of Exodus of the Old Testament. And they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of sapphire stone, as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. According to Revelation 21, God announces that he has come to live with humanity forever and is making all things new. Sapphire was mentioned as a second stone used to adorn the city wall. And the foundations of the city wall were adorned with all precious stones, the first jasper, the second sapphire, and so forth. The Bible also mentions sapphire as a precious stone used in the Israelites' high priest's breastplate. The high priest's breastplate contained 12 jewels, one of which was sapphire, which stood in the second row of the breastplate. Each jewel represented a different tribe, and the names of the tribes were engraved on the stones. According to Scripture, the ring of King Solomon was a sapphire, as mentioned in the Song of Solomon. So here's this sugar pie honey bunch. I can't help myself. I love you and nobody else. It's God. It's the unseen. It's at all. It's number 5. It's about change. It's like, sugar pie honey bunch. I can't help myself. I love you all. And yet the sapphires, follow your heart, discover your soul. The way you find your soul, the way you connect to it, the way you allow it to guide you forward, to lead you, is through your heart. It's through your soul source connection. It's through the light. It's through goodness. You don't get there through darkness or through ego, mind, personality, where it's completely non-existent, closed off, rejected. And you don't get there by it being false, pretending. That's not going to work. Remember, omniscient, omnipotent, peace be with you. Master Jesus entered through a room with the door locked. There's no hiding from the unseen, from God. There's no hiding. But there's beautiful majesty, this sacred square, the number 42, the sapphires, the indelible impression, what's my legacy, and this opportunity, this redemption, that it's here in this given moment. We're going to close with our quotes. And the first one is, life is a pure flame, and we live by an invisible sun within us. This is by Thomas Brown. So life is a pure flame. Life is pure. What is within us, our soul, is pure. And we live by an invisible sun within us. It's to recapture that flame, to live by it, to prosper by it. The second quote is, life is like a flowing river. Identify its current to know contentment. Dear Medicine is about peace, tranquility, forgiveness. So life is like a flowing river. Identify its current to know contentment. It's to flow with the current, not against it. And to discern, to identify it, that soul source connection. Because we know when we're in ego, mind, personality. We know when we're in shadow. We know when we're in darkness. We know. And so choose. Life is like a flowing river. Identify its current to know contentment, to know peace. And I'm going to close out. This is, it's an incredibly beautiful song. And I'm going to post it on the show comments on the Dear James Facebook page at the end. It's by Jonathan Antoine, and it's called Compass, I Will Lead You Home. And we'll close with these lyrics. When night is falling so hard upon you, and the world is heavy, heavy on your heart, when your soul is stranded and you're barely standing, I will hold you, shield you, show you, I am standing by. And when you're lost and think no one can find you, I will remind you you're not alone. I will be there. I'll be the one to guide you. My love will be your compass. I will lead you home. Master Jesus, the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, the all that is, are imploring us to wake up and to see this offering, this opportunity, this new beginning, the death and the rebirth, the death of the patriarchal Piscean era and the birth of the matriarchal Aquarian era. This symbolic death and rebirth. And for us to appropriately mourn as we need to, but not cleave or cling to to rise and to embrace and open ourselves to a whole new world, a whole new way of being. To keep going. Follow me, Master Jesus. Because where we were unprepared or unready before to receive him, to hear him, are you ready now? Can you hear me now? The love is unquestionable. Sugar pie, honey bunch. I can't help myself. I love you and nobody else. 8 billion souls on the planet are loved. Do we choose to receive that love? And do we choose to receive that love and peace and opportunity as our legacy? Both what we leave behind and what we receive. Until next week, where we will look at all of the Sabian symbols that go with this Mars-Pluto opposition and this with the astrological chart. Be well and be kind to yourselves. And no matter where you are on the globe, and certainly within the United States of America, the message from the unseen is that we have a choice. And what I hope and pray is that we all choose greatness, love, peace, harmony, goodness, wellness, and that we relinquish and relegate hate and division and oppression and suppression and demeaning and anger and resentment and all of this shadow energies, that we leave them to the past. We release them. We empty our vessels, because we got to make space for all of this that is to arrive, to come. Until then, be well. I love you all. Thank you so much for being on this journey and for your presence each and every week. It means the world to me. I love you all. Until then, next week, be well.
You've been listening to Dear James Live. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting DearJames.com.